Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you for another new Film Fanatic show. It is Friday morning at about 10:33. Pretty nice sunny day here. Getting closer and closer to Christmas time. I hope everyone has made their list for Santa Claus. And the lists are sent. Um, and everybody gets they're just rewards or they're the gifts that they want. So yeah, excited for a holiday. I have yet to buy one present. I have to do that pretty soon. I have to shop for a few people. So we'll see what happens. I have some ideas, but I'm excited. I love Christmas. Christmas is pretty much well, it's really close. Halloween, Christmas. Halloween's probably my favorite holiday, although this past Halloween sucked and it was the worst Halloween ever. So I'm hoping Christmas will be better. Thanksgiving was great this year. So yeah. Anyway, I am with the Christmas holiday kind of approaching. There's Christmas events coming up and things like that. We're going to be one of the bands I'm playing, and we're going to be playing a winter solstice Christmas party. So it'll be kind of a fun thing coming up next week, and around Christmas time, or actually a few days after, the 28th of December, we will be doing a quantum show at Hey Sailor, which is an amazing place. We had our album release show there a few weeks ago, and it was a super fun, amazing time. It was it was a lot of work putting the whole thing together. I had two other bands play, or two friends play, and it was a lot of work to make it all happen. Mainly because of, well, the logistics of it, but the just promotion part of it. I find too, it's I don't. It's a very different time, but I find now it takes a lot more effort to kind of get people out to stay out to a later to stay out later, really, generally. And it's an age old question sometimes, where people will say, because of where we are here in the community of Maine, um, you know, there's a small population, right? So I think that, on one side of things, like the major city, or the major town here in Maine is Portland, Maine. Like, that's obviously the most populated, and that place is about Portland's about just about 2 hours from here, more inland. And where I live, and we're this kind of music community here. The local music community here is based, where Hey Sailor is and everything. We're all in the coastal region. Belfast, Camden, Searsport. We all live Northport. We all live right along the coast, and there's basically like a straight shot, that connects everyone and connects everything. So it's it's always well, it's easy access as far as straight shot, as far as bars, venues, restaurants. Like, Rockland is really great with all kinds of, there's all kinds of great, wonderful restaurants down there. My girlfriend lives down in Rockland, so I spend a lot of time down there. And Camden has got some cool places too, but I really love Rockland because of the way it's set up, and there's a lot of shops, and everything's like kind of walking distance. Belfast is very cool, kind of the same thing. But there's always been this thing of where I've seen it really shift over the years, as far as, the debate around it, and then just kind of the general future of music, going out to see music. Because, things have really shifted, and people are prone to kind of go out, but they go out for, a limited amount of time. They don't say People typically don't stay out as late as they used to, and there's a lot of contributing factors. So, and with streaming is a major thing, and I think all of those things are all contributing factors to where people opt as or make that choice to stay home. So I find that it is more challenging to get people to come out to venues, but and to support venues, because what happens is when things go away, then those people are typically the first to complain as to why there isn't those options. So it's always that thing never changes, and I've always had that debate with friends. Well, they were people will say like certain events, certain times, there will be tons of people that will show up to certain kinds of events. I've seen that happen where I've been fortunate to play lots of gigs in the area, and sometimes there'll be a ton of people there. We played a show a few weeks ago at Marshall Wharf in Belfast, and it was looking kind of dismal in the beginning. There wasn't a lot of people there. It was pretty mellow, and then by the midway through the first set, a whole bunch of people showed up, and it was like, oh wow, and it was great. And I've been to shows where that same thing has happened. I went to a show a few weeks ago or last month at Hey Sailor, and it was like that, where it was looking pretty grim, and then suddenly people started showing up, and vice versa, where I've played shows and then I've gone to shows because I love to go to music and try to do what I can to support the local scene. And it's my, going to music, live events, going to the movies, going out to eat. Those are my favorite kind of, things to do around, the arts and my free time. And I've seen that happen where I've gone to see bands of where it's like me and two other people are at the place or at the venue. Um, and but on good nights of where or where there's a good turnout, it's like there's a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of people, and it's like I've had that debate with a few friends about, well, there's just not enough people to support these events. I don't really think that's the case. I think it's harder to get people motivated to do certain things. People are busy, but people are kind of always busy doing their thing. But anyway, I'm going to an event tonight, which I'm excited about. There's a pretty wacky movie that I've never heard about. It looks like just a total cheeseball, trashy exploitation movie, and I believe it's called Santa Claus vs. the Martians. And it's going to be at the Poor Farm, and it's a movie from 1964. It sounds totally up my alley. I'm really excited to see it. It's a free show. It's going to be at the Poor Farm. Poor Farm is a really awesome brew pub here in Maine. It's about 40-minute drive or so from my house. There's so many great brew pubs here in Maine, but the Poor Farm for me makes the best beer around. So I'm really looking forward to going and checking out this movie and having a couple of good, really delicious beers. I've played at the Poor Farm a bunch of times too. I really love that place. Looking forward to playing there again, probably next year at this point. And I've gone to see lots of shows there also, and it's a beautiful spot. So I'm excited to see what this movie's going to be about, and I'll do a review for it probably tomorrow, which is Saturday. So I'm pretty excited about that. And other than that, I've been rewatching and checking out movies that I've had. I'm a big fan of. I if I get into a movie, I will rewatch it multiple times. Movies that I love, that I see multiple times, I will like basically forget the number of times that I've seen it because I love the whole experience. And I like that idea. It's like I look at it I look at that process or not that sounds maybe a little bit of a overly intellectual way to think of it, but it is a process. But I look at it the same thing. It's like if I get into an album, um, I've gotten into a few new bands recently that I've been really digging, and if I get into a new album by a band I like or that I love or discover something for the first time, I usually go down a rabbit hole, and I'll listen listen to that album a lot, and I'll live with it. I'll like listen to it multiple times, or and just like get really immersed in it. And that happens when I'm really into it, generally. And I do this, so I do the same thing with movies. I do exactly the same thing. A movie that I get totally into, that I fall in love with or inspired by, I will do that. I will put it on, and over time, I will lose track of how many times I see it. And it's that basically it's the same kind of process. I don't look at the difference between a CD, because yes, I do listen to CDs. That's my main thing. I've been listening to lots of cassettes lately, which is kind of funny. But I do the same thing with, say, a couple of CDs or a couple of Blu-ray DVDs or DVDs. So I got this movie. I did a show on this probably a couple months ago, and I absolutely love this movie. I just rewatched it again, and it is one of the most entertaining, action-packed shit fests I've ever seen. I love this movie. It stars the iconic Michael Dudikoff, and that is Avenging Force. This is an amazing action movie. Like, it's got everything. I love Michael Dudikoff. He's probably most well known for American Ninja. This film also came out in 1986. This was this is such a classic when it came out. I, again, this was one of those movies that I grew up with, grew up watching. I was a huge fan of all of the 80s ninja films. They were just incredible. Sam Furstenberg was the director. He did all of the Canon films. They're just incredibly cheesy films. That's the best way to put it. Sam Furstenberg was probably the most like iconic director for Canon films. Canon films was just again, that was a regular part of my diet growing up. They made all of the classic and ultra cheesy ninja films in the 80s, starring Sho Kusugi, and also Michael Dudikoff was a big star for this company. And they specialized. Canon was. There's a documentary that I haven't seen, but I heard it's amazing. There's a documentary which I really want to get, and it's all about the Canon company. And basically, it was run basically into the ground, but it was a super uber low budget company that was run by these two men who I think they were brothers. I'm not sure, but they basically put out all of these B movies. They specialized in action movies, science fiction movies, some horror films, all kinds of martial arts, and especially ninja movies. Those films were hugely successful, but they specialized in action films, and they were all like super low budget. Definitely B movies. I consider them to be part of kind of the exploitation world. They were, really bad for all intents and purposes. They had very low budgets. They had really big ambition. The films always had this kind of larger than life idea, and they really wanted to, you know, technically pull off all of these things, but they clearly couldn't because they just didn't have the money. And so that was also the case with a lot of the actors that they had. Everything was at a pretty, as far as the quality level, they couldn't afford the best actors, they couldn't afford the best script writers, they didn't have a big budget to even talk of. So they did what they could with what they had. And they made all of these classic, super cheesy action films in the 80s. And Michael Dudikoff was one of the biggest stars, and he made, I believe, three American Ninja films, which are awesome. I have American Ninja on Blu-ray. I'm probably gonna watch it again. I might even watch it tonight since you know, since I just watched Avenging Force. This movie is amazing, though. Like I don't know if it's hard to say. My my favorite canon film probably is it was the movie that started it for me as a kid, and that was Ninja 3: The Domination. That movie is so bizarre and so amazing. Starring Sho Kosugi. I remember that was the first movie I saw as a kid. I have that on Blu-ray. I'm gonna revisit that again too. But Canon is one of my favorite. It's such a train wreck of a company, but they made some of my favorite films. It's my favorite B exploitation action movies of the '80s. I mean, just they're so much fun and so utterly ridiculous and kind of stupid, but they just have so much charm to them. They really do. They're just so entertaining. There's totally exploitive. A lot of them tried to capitalize on bigger budget Hollywood films, and this movie is definitely one of the best. It's arguably the best film that Michael Dudikoff did. I mean, I love American Ninja. I love that movie to death, and like I said, I bought it on Blu-ray this year, and it's an incredible movie. It's a wonder to behold. But I remember seeing this movie. They put out a whole ton of movies. Canon put out a whole ton of movies back in the day, and it's amazing that all of those films that are trash are getting this immaculate, these re-releases on 4K Blu-ray. And it's the other thing that's just crazy is Kino Lorber, which is the company that puts out all these films, is I believe Kino Lorber that's a film company that has been around for quite a few years, but I remember hearing about them and seeing a lot of the movies that they were putting out, and I believe I own some of their other films, and they were doing more kind of art house films, a lot of foreign films. So it's like kind of high end quality films. So I'm like, wow, like they're putting out this total trash, and I'm like, that's amazing. Like, what the fuck, When I saw that they were putting out all of the Canon films, and they're like, these are beautiful editions of these movies. I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like, it's amazing, and it's another example of all of these boutique labels just like doing these amazing things and stuff that you would never have thought in a million years would see the light of day or get the serious royal treatment. It's now a thing. And again, I want to when I see a movie, I like movies that are thought provoking, that resonate with me, and take me on a journey. But I also like films that I can throw in that are just healthy, mindless to a degree escapism, and I can just have fun. And I feel like all the Canon films are like this, and this is one of the primetime examples of that. Like this movie has so much action in it. It's got there's no downtime once it starts. And the other thing is it is so not politically correct. This movie could not be made today because this movie would be banned. Uh, there's a lot of racism. There's a lot of racism around some of the villains in this film, and kids get killed. It's a brutal fucking movie too. It's so cheesy and ridiculous, but it's actually when you look at some of the content, some of the things that happen in regards to violence, it's super violent. Like that's one of the biggest taboos for films is when you show the death of children or you indicate that that's happening, and obviously racist views and misogynistic views, all of those things. But this movie has those things, and it goes there, and it's brutal, even though it's like total schlock. But I love this movie. I think it's amazing. All of the releases that I've gotten to from Canon so far, I have I think I have three now. No, I have like three or four Canon releases, and they're stellar. Kino Lober, I have American Ninja 3. That I do not have. That Kino Lober probably has put that out, but I have that through another company. And that's a really great edition, but I feel like buying it through Kino Lober, it would probably be better because there's probably going to be a lot more special features on it. But it's a classic. Um, it's just great. I can't say enough good things about it. It's so much fun. Definitely check this out. Check out anything. If you see a film that has the Canon label on it, you got to see that shit or buy it. It's just they're great, just wonderful. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.